It's midnight. The house is quiet. The notifications have stopped. And even though you have to wake up in just a few hours, you find yourself scrolling through your phone or letting the next episode of a show automatically play. A part of you knows you should be asleep. A part of you is already dreading the sound of your morning alarm. But another part of you feels a quiet sense of defiance. This is your time, finally. The most rebellious act you commit all day might be staying up until 2 in the morning. It feels like a small slice of freedom, but it costs you everything the next day. If this nightly ritual feels familiar, you have probably asked yourself the question, why do I stay up so late even when I know I'll be exhausted tomorrow? It's easy to label this habit as a simple lack of discipline or poor time management. You might scold yourself for being lazy or for not having enough willpower. But what if this pattern isn't a personal failing at all? What if it's a completely logical, though ultimately self-sabotaging, psychological response to a life that feels out of your control? This common habit has a name: revenge sleep procrastination. It's a quiet cry for autonomy. And understanding the psychology behind it is the first step toward reclaiming both your evenings and your energy without feeling like you're losing the only time that truly belongs to you. So, what is revenge sleep procrastination? The term describes the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time, driven by a feeling of not having enough personal freedom during the day. The revenge part is key. It's not directed at anyone in particular. It's a form of rebellion against the demands of your job, your daily chores, or any other obligations that consume your daylight hours. It is a subconscious attempt to regain a sense of control and personal freedom by carving out leisure time during the only hours when no one is making demands on you, late at night. This pattern is a direct response to high-stress days with very little free time. If your entire day, from the moment you wake up, is a series of obligations to your boss, your family, or your to-do list, you can end the day feeling like you haven't lived for yourself at all. Your time has been stolen by your responsibilities. So when the world finally goes quiet, you refuse to let the day end. Going to sleep feels like surrendering. It feels like admitting of another day of obligations. It's a way of saying, not yet. I'm not ready to give up my time just yet. This is why you can feel so empty even after hours of so-called leisure. The activity isn't truly restorative because it's driven by a feeling of desperation, not genuine enjoyment. And this all culminates in a painful nightly cycle of defiance, guilt, and regret. As you ignore your intended bedtime, you might feel a mixture of emotions. There's a defiant satisfaction in breaking the rules and claiming your time, but underneath it, there is often a current of guilt. You know what you're doing is hurting you. You can feel the exhaustion waiting for you in the morning. Then, when the alarm inevitably goes off, regret hits you like a tidal wave. You feel groggy, irritable, and angry at your past self for making such a poor choice. You promise yourself, "Tonight, I will go to bed early." But when the end of the next demanding day arrives, the same feeling of having no control takes over, and the defiant urge to reclaim your time starts the cycle all over again. It's a common myth to simply dismiss this pattern by saying, "I'm just a night owl." While some people do have a natural preference for later hours, revenge sleep procrastination is different. It's not a biological preference, it's a psychological response. A true night owl might feel most productive and energized in the evening, but they can still maintain a consistent sleep schedule that leaves them feeling rested. A person caught in the revenge sleep cycle, on the other hand, is not staying up because they feel great. They are staying up because they feel deprived. They are consistently and knowingly choosing an action that will make them feel worse tomorrow because the immediate feeling of freedom feels more important. Consider a woman named Maya. She has a demanding job and 2 young children. Her day is a non-stop marathon of meetings, deadlines, school runs, and housework. By 9 p.m., she is exhausted. But instead of going to sleep, she stays Instead of your free time ending abruptly when you go to sleep, you create a new intentional activity that is also me time, but one that leads you towards rest. This could be reading a physical book, listening to calm music, doing some gentle stretching, or journaling. The key is that it must be something you find genuinely relaxing. This ritual transforms bedtime from a punishment, the end of your freedom, into a pleasant and deliberate choice you are making for your own well-being.
The second tool is a technique we can call micro-leisure. The pressure to binge on free time at night is so intense because you've been starving for it all day. The solution is to sprinkle small, intentional breaks for personal enjoyment throughout your day. These don't have to be long. We're talking about 10 to 15 minutes. Schedule them in your calendar as if they were important meetings. This could be a short walk outside without your phone. It could be 10 minutes spent listening to your favorite album with your eyes closed. It could be a coffee break where you sit and do nothing instead of scrolling through emails. These small acts of reclaiming time during the day reduce the feeling of deprivation. They fill your autonomy You have already claimed those moments. This shift in perspective is profound. It moves the focus from nighttime discipline to daytime self-advocacy. It's about treating your personal time with the same importance as your professional obligations. As you become more skilled at integrating these small acts of freedom into your day, you will likely find that the appeal of that late-night rebellion begins to fade. Sleep starts to feel less like an enemy and more like a welcome friend, a final restorative act of self-care in a day that was truly yours. What is one small 10-minute pocket of micro-leisure you could schedule for yourself tomorrow?